Hey everyone, welcome to this episode. I wanted to talk to you today about the 7 surprising reasons the divine feminine hermits. And I know this has been a question on a lot of your minds. Recently I've been speaking to some of you, and I know that when the divine feminine goes into hermit mode, especially kind of towards the middle, like from the beginning, it actually feels like some sort of nice peaceful respite. You're just taking time for yourself. But then as time goes on, you start to question, is there something wrong with me? Maybe I've got depression. Why do I feel so disconnected from the rest of the world? Why do I feel no particular drive or desire to go out and socialize and kind of essentially be who I was before? And so this is what this episode is about. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my experiences as a hermit, or in hermit mode as a divine feminine, but also, there's 7 surprising reasons why this happens. And number 7 for me was a bit of a shocker. So I would really encourage you to stick around for that. I've saved the best till last. I know I'm a bit of a tease, but I just had to, because I really had to take that away and really process it deeply. Anyway, for those of you who are new to my channel, hi, welcome. I'm Charlie Kingsland. I'm a relationship, love, and money coach, because they're on the same frequency. They are also the areas in which we have been most disempowered from and disconnected from. As the mother to 2 children, it's my mission and purpose in life, partly to show them that anything is possible once they move the blocks standing out of their way and once they tune into the truth of their soul and who they really are. So I'm just going to jump straight in. So with number 1 then, the number 1 reason the divine feminine hermits is because of physical illnesses and symptoms. Now, these are so common. They impact a lot of us. For me, a particular 2 that I struggle with, which I know are really, really common, are anxiety and sleeplessness. So the anxiety for me, I've had anxiety in the past before meeting my twin, but it was something like once every 3 months, maybe for a couple of days or a week or so. And then it would go away and it would come back maybe 6 or 12 months later. And now it's an almost daily thing. There is no reason for it. So previously I always knew that my marriage wasn't the right one, or I wasn't following my deeper purpose, or I wasn't in alignment with the type of work that I should be doing. There were always very definite reasons or things on my mind. And now, often with the divine feminine going through this anxiety, what you might be experiencing is this feeling of anxiety, but for no apparent reason. Now, and I will share with you in just a second what I think that reason actually is that I've identified, and maybe this is true for you. But just before we go, I want you to be aware that you can just take what resonates for you, and anything that doesn't resonate, just leave. It's not like I am telling you this is the case for every single divine feminine, this is the case for every single divine masculine, and so on. I'm sharing from the basis of my experience and from my experience as a twin flame coach and guide, and from 3 of my best friends being in twin flame relationships as well. So I'm like a twin flame magnet. And so, physical illnesses and symptoms. Then for me, one of the other things is this sleeplessness. Oh my gosh. And this really does frustrate me at times, because it doesn't often go away, but for me, it's prominent at weekends. So the one time when I'm not working and I really want to relax and I really want to switch off, it's just there, this lack of sleep or this disturbed sleep or the crazy dreams. It's usually one or the other. Sometimes it goes away, but not for very long periods of time. So I went for about 3 weeks, actually, just literally this recent 3 weeks gone, without having any of that. I think the dreams were still there, but they were actually very pleasant, and I was waking up like super happy. They were really nice. And then this Saturday, as I thought, actually I haven't been waking up on Saturdays since our last separation period. And this Saturday, it was 1:30 a.m. and it was like, boom, I'm awake and I know that's my twin, and that's really annoying. And so, and I'm not saying your twin is consciously thinking of you when you experience this disturbed sleep. He might be thinking of you, the divine masculine might be thinking of you, but also it could be that their minds are so full and they are so stressed. The divine feminine is so aware of their energies that you are receiving that disturbance, essentially that energetic disturbance, and that's what's really waking you up. So usually it's one of those 2 things: either your divine masculine is directly thinking about you, or they have so much on their mind and they are so deep in that headspace that you are actually receiving that energetic imbalance, and it can cause this really disturbed sleep. And the other side effect that I've received as a part of that, which you might have also experienced, and I know some twin flame energy readers have talked about, is this switch from being either a night owl or a morning person to the other way around. And for me, I'm still a night owl, but now I am also a morning person as well, apparently, because I can't seem to sleep in past 6:30, which, just as a side note, is the most frustrating thing for me, because I'm pretty certain that my twin flame, my divine masculine, sleeps like a log. Like, honestly, a volcano wouldn't wake this guy up. So that really annoys me that I'm the one that has to deal with this. I mean, ego here, but it does frustrate me that I'm lying there wide awake going, oh my gosh, I bet he's there still enjoying his sleep. So yeah, and then the other symptoms that I've received, the ringing in the ears. Now, I get this about 4 to 6 weeks after my divine masculine and I have last had contact. It's such an odd thing, but I know other people have talked about it as well. And then you get the really down days where just after Christmas, I had 3 days where I couldn't get out of bed, and I didn't know. I knew it was my twin, and I said to all my friends, I think it's my twin, and then, like, I was literally in tears and could not get out of bed, and I was like, maybe it's Christmas blues, you know, my family haven't been here at Christmas, so maybe I've just got a bit of Christmas depression, but it was literally a very physical thing. Like, I felt very rooted in my, like, I just couldn't get out of bed, and I didn't know why. Like, I wasn't sick, like, but I just couldn't. At the same time, I literally felt like my legs had been taken out from under me, right? And I just can't describe it, but I just couldn't get out of bed, and I couldn't stop crying for 3 days. And I found out later from my twin that he had been really, really, really sick over that period. And this is the thing. And then, so you have these extreme physical illnesses and symptoms as well that you can't always pinpoint, and you don't, there's no physical explanation for what they are. And it's not like you have worries on your mind that are manifesting themselves in these illnesses. And so it's like, well, what on earth is this? And the only explanation for it is it's your twin's energy. I mean, there is no other reason for literally the exact same day that my twin was sick that I would have also been in bed for 3 days, pretty much the exact same amount of time. And then when I bumped into him, we'd actually started feeling better on the exact same day as well, which is, you know, again, twin things. So you have these physical illnesses and symptoms, and they are so varied. I mean, I've heard people talk about pins and needles in their hands, a lot of throat issues. You know, a lot of twin flames are learning to speak their truth, essentially, to take off the mask and to be who they really are. And that comes with a lot of throat pain, because you're essentially releasing this throat chakra energy. So physical illnesses and symptoms is a classic one. Why we hermit, right? Nobody wants to go out feeling crap, so we hermit. And sometimes we have no choice. The symptoms literally floor us. They literally prevent us from leaving. And I'll talk to you in point number 7 about why I truly believe that is. And then the second one then is the old life that we had, and the interest no longer aligns or are of interest to us. So it's just simply the things that we once found of interest, now that we've been activated for mission and purpose, which is what happens when the twins come together. I mean, it's always been your path since you were born. You always knew you were destined for greatness. You always knew you had a mission here. You knew, even as a young child, there was a very specific reason you were here on this earth. I think every single twin flame knows this deep down. Especially with the divine masculine, they often question, well, what is it? What am I here for? What is this supposed to look like? How do I do this thing? Very specifically with the divine masculines who come to me for coaching, I get, but how do I do this? How do I leave behind this toxic habit, or my wife or my kids? Like, how do I do this? I don't know how to do it. The masculines are very, 3D rooted, so they look at the how. But they know, and the divine feminine knows, this old life that they once had is no longer in alignment. And in fact, it doesn't even ignite desire or fun or interest in them anymore. And it's interesting because the divine masculine can carry on. He carries on wearing this mask, right? So he's much more able for a certain period of time to carry on acting in this way. Like, everything he has around him is normal. Like, he almost convinces himself, but then every so often his soul is drawn back to this divine feminine that he has, signed up for contractually before he came to this earth to live out this divine mission and purpose here on earth. He knows deep down, just like that divine feminine does, he is here for a reason. He is here for a very specific purpose. He knows he is here for greatness. And I'm not talking about ego greatness. I'm talking about living life fully on purpose, which literally changes the lives of people around us, which literally changes this earth. He knows he was put here for that. So does the divine feminine. And so, of course, when you have that knowing that you are actually activated for mission, for purpose, the old things that used to feel good for you actually are no longer of interest. And in fact, what you start to see is that those old habits and behaviors that I had and acquired actually numbed me out, actually zoned me out from living my true purpose, from living life on purpose, from following the calling of my soul. So whereas you used to go out and party, or used to, maybe you took drugs recreationally. Again, I see that more in the divine masculine, but sometimes in the divine feminine as well. Maybe you were party queen or king and you would go out all the time. Maybe more the divine masculine, but sometimes in the divine feminine, you needed lots of validation from the opposite sex. So you always had partners or multiple partners on the go. I've seen this as well. And so when you get activated, when you meet your twin, those things no longer feel aligned, no longer feel good, no longer feel exciting. In fact, the only reason you default back to that, which doesn't really happen with the divine feminine, it does with the divine masculine, but again, they can only sustain that for a certain amount of time, is because it numbs you out and can take you away from feeling all of the emotion around the twin flame connection that you have to go through in order to be fully activated for purpose. So the divine masculine can default to the old habits, behaviors, people, interests, social events, work purposes. They can remain in that for a period of time, but actually what they're doing is numbing themselves. It's like, I don't want to look at my mission. I don't want to look at this bigger purpose, but their soul is like, yeah, well, unfortunately you signed up for that. It's not like you can escape it. So they try, but they know deep down what they're here for. They can only do that for a certain amount of time. And I've seen this over and over again, multiple twin flames that I've worked with now. Whereas the divine masculine can carry on putting that act, it's almost like with the divine feminine, it's an instant, no, I can't go back to that. I can't live that old way anymore. She has much more integrity and alignment with her truth. And the divine masculine knows that, and that's why he loves her, actually. It's because she is so in alignment. She will not default to pretending. He knows she is so authentic in who she is being. And of course, sometimes she wobbles. Of course, she's like, you know what, I'm just going to go out and go crazy and see how it feels. And it always takes her out of alignment. There are always tears the next day. There are always, oh, what did I do that for? Now I'm behind on this, and this, or not behind, but, feeling out of alignment and out of integrity, because you are. Those old interests, those old things that used to light the divine feminine up, are no longer of interest. They no longer resonate because they are not aligned with the truth of her soul. They were things that society conditioned her into believing were necessary, valuable. This culture of alcohol that we're all raised in, these things are valuable. Everyone goes out on a Saturday night. Therefore, Saturday night must be your crazy party night. You can go wild. You can let your hair down. Whereas the twins know every day is like that. Every day brings that feeling of pure joy, pure ecstasy, pure euphoria when you're living as a twin flame who has been activated for purpose, even though as you're going through this journey, there's a lot of resistance from both the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So that's number 2. So the old interests and old life no longer aligns and is no longer of interest. Those things that used to light her up, they just do not light up the divine feminine anymore. She has no desire to follow that. And when she does, it takes her so far out of alignment. The recovery process can be long that actually it's just not worth it. So the third reason then is the divine feminine is extra sensitive to the energies of others. So I went to a party last week and it was the first time I've started to come out of my hermit mode. For me, I go into a little bit of a emotional shutdown once it's been a certain time period between me and my divine masculine. And I find it very easy to disconnect. So I went to this party and I was like, yeah, I'm going to have a great time. And it was incredible. I mean, it was at the most beautiful location, beautiful home. The people were incredible. The people were absolutely lovely. It was super high vibe, really great energy. But still, I went home and felt like I'd been hit by a bus. I felt like I could sleep for a week. I blank in my mind. I could not think. And I slept like a log that night for the first night in ages, but I think it was because my body was decompressing from everybody else's energies. And this is one of the things, you can often feel almost like you're going crazy because it's almost like you can hear everybody's thoughts. And indeed, that is what's happening. Your physical human senses, once you ascend, your physical human senses close down a little bit because your third eye is actually opening. You're ascending into these energetic realms, and so you can feel everyone else's energy, and it's almost like you know what they're thinking. And when you're not familiar with it, and when you're not used to it, and when you're not surrounded by other people feeling the same way, and if you're not lucky enough to have spiritually aware friends, instead you're surrounded by people who are very much on their 3D, If you told them how you were thinking and feeling, they would look at you like you needed to be locked away. Like, what are you talking about? You knew what they were thinking. What are you talking about? Of course that didn't mean that. You're just being paranoid. You're overreacting. And so you start to feel a bit crazy. But actually, it's simply one of the symptoms of ascension is that your bodily senses close down a little bit more to allow your third eye to open to receive the energy. And don't forget, our third eye have been closed by societal programming for so long that, of course, when we are then surrounded by these energies of everyone else, it can feel scary because it's not taught that your third eye is another sense. We're told we have a sixth sense, but it's not like it's taught in school. Oh yeah, your third eye is as valuable as your vision or your taste or your smell. It's not talked about. So one of the reasons then, number 3, that the divine feminine hermits is because she's so sensitive to the energies of others and it can actually pull her down vibrationally. And she's aware of that. So she hermits, she stays away from it. She keeps it very much to a minimum. And so number 4 then is processing. Oh my goodness, the divine feminine has so much to process. So she's processing her healing. And I'm not saying that that needs to be done. It's a stage that the divine feminine will go through when they are looking at this process of being a twin flame. What does this mean? What am I here for? What is this about? Why doesn't this connection leave? Why is it still lingering on? What are all these weird things? What is my purpose? What have I been activated for? How can I work with this? She is processing so much, as well as things like your ancestral patterns of behavior and lineage, and looking at her spiritual and clairvoyant gifts, and all of these kinds of things. They take a lot of energetic processing. And even when she's not consciously thinking, from monkey mind, she is still processing these experiences in her body, which can actually be really overwhelming and really exhausting, which means that actually she doesn't have time to go and have a coffee and talk about, I don't know, what do normal people talk about now when they go and have a coffee? I don't know, boyfriends, ex-boyfriends, cars, clothes, I don't know, what do people talk about? Music, whatever. And she just doesn't have the energetic capacity to be talking about that at the same time as talking about, today I had a conversation with an angel. They are literally worlds apart. And so the divine feminine hermits so that she can assimilate and process all of these changes and shifts that are essentially opening her up to the greatest purpose that she signed up for, essentially. So number 5 then, building her queendom. So the divine feminine, for her, building her queendom is now priority. So society teaches essentially that you need to find a rich man. It does. And for the divine feminine, she has always known that that's crap. But probably for a while, for a period of time, either she went into her masculine energy while she became that man. And so perhaps she was in relationships previously where she was not supported in her feminine energy, which is why she meets her divine masculine, who is often actually in his feminine energy in other relationships, and then they completely rebalance when they are together, and the divine masculine comes very much into his masculine. The divine feminine becomes very feminine when they are together, of course, the yin and the yang. Previously, she was either in that hard masculine energy where she went to work and she was really grinding, or she was of that nature where a man is the provider. Now, the thing, what we see with the twins is that this completely confuses the masculine, who has always been taught he is the provider. Actually, with the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the case of the twins, they are equal in every area. And this is really why I struggled as a relationship coach working for somebody else who taught that very old belief that the man has to provide. The man does provide in the 3D, but what he provides is not always financial. And it doesn't mean that the divine feminine has to step into her masculine with him in order to be the provider. And actually what you see are these gorgeous twin flame couples coming together and really being activated from mission and purpose. And it was just recently, thank you to the subscriber who recommended that I check out Guided by Voices, who is an energy reader. She is beautiful, Liz and George. They are this gorgeous twin flame couple, and you can see they've really been activated for mission and purpose. And basically, there's a 20-year age gap, just for those of you that don't know, between them. And she put out this beautiful post yesterday saying, and from what I picked up from that post, she shared a picture of the two of them together, and they've got this 20-year age gap. And she said they faced a lot of resistance when they first got together. They faced a lot of challenges. They faced a lot of criticism and judgment from others who didn't believe they should be together, who essentially wanted them to find someone their own age or find someone better. Or essentially, again, it's that twin flame dynamic where everyone can feel the energy around you and it shakes them to their core. They do not like it. They do not understand it. So therefore they pick on anything they can in order to be able to break that relationship down. And if you have an obvious thing like they did, a 20-year age gap, it's an easy target. So it's really beautiful to see how they've overcome that together. They worked through that criticism, that judgment, that real challenge, and came through the other side as this gorgeous twin flame couple that are activated for mission and purpose. And so for me, we often hear a lot about how if you're a twin flame, all you need to do is practice presence, or all you need to do is become 0 point and balance your energies, and you'll have everything you want. And that's the point of the twin flame journey, to just teach you to become present and balanced and grounded. And I just don't actually think that's the case. I think we're here for so much more. We are here for this incredible mission and purpose of bringing divine love to this earth and being able to show people, just like Liz and George have done, how you can overcome whatever anybody has to say or think or do or against your dynamic, and really live your lives together as this on this incredible journey of sharing what it is, whatever it is that you're creating, as equals. And that's the thing. The divine feminine is now on this journey of building her kingdom. Now, subconsciously or not, sometimes it's, as in the case of Liz and George, they build this together consciously. When in separation, the divine feminine is building her queendom, but there might, in some divine feminines, be this subconscious, and I think it maybe is the case for all divine feminines actually, that they are building this queendom for the divine masculine to join. And this is, again, the divine masculine knows this. He feels it. He signed up for the same thing, the same purpose as you did, which is why when you meet, you have these kind of shared visions, these shared goals, which seem kind of almost like too good to be true, too unreal when you first meet. It's like, how can this person want this, but I'm doing this? And like, it just doesn't seem to make any sense. But the thing is, you're both called to this together. You both get activated for mission and purpose. And this is why often you share this chakra system, and the sacral chakra, the Kundalini energy in the divine masculine gets activated because that's his strength. This is where the purpose comes from. It's this really strong energy rising up from lower into, it builds essentially the spine of the connection. It builds, and again, if you think about how the connection is held, the divine feminine holds the connection in the spiritual and energetic realms. The divine masculine holds it in the physical. It makes sense that he is activated here because this is where his mission and purpose is activated. So he knows already he is built for something more than whatever his life currently looks like. And he knows that's with his divine feminine, which is why I think when the divine feminine hermits and she's really focused on building her queendom, she also knows that she doesn't need him to bring anything financially to the table. That's an old belief. And again, it's another one the divine masculine really struggles to let go of, because to him, he's like, I want to look after my queen. I want to take care of her. I don't want to go to her empty-handed. I want savings. I want a house. I want to be able to give her these things. And the divine feminine's laughing because she's like, but that's what we're here for, to build this together. This is what we do together. And again, it's that separation consciousness that programming and societal conditioning has given us, that actually one of you does it this way, the other one of you does it that way. It's a separation. One of you goes to work, or you both go to work separately. And again, like, how magical is that? That twin flames like Liz and George are coming and showing the world that actually you can work together as a team and create this beautiful dream life, living life fully on purpose. And so the fifth reason then the divine feminine hermits is she's really focused on building this queendom. And so she stays at home. She's really building whatever that's going to look like, the financial abundance. She's planting the seeds for businesses or work or whatever it is that's her purpose, which is also usually her twin's purpose as well. And essentially it's for the both of them. And it's not always that she's doing this from conscious choice. Yes, like Liz and George, some twins do. And again, like with me and this channel, this was built for me and my twin. If you look at my link, it's www.thetemplewebuilt. And that was his name, that's his idea. But divine masculine, obviously, leading in the 3D. And me allowing myself to be led and submitting to his idea, which is beautiful. The temple we built is a beautiful, beautiful name. And so, yeah, and so the divine feminine goes ahead and builds this essential base of financial abundance, creativity, mission, and joy for herself primarily, but also the twins are linked together by this shared mission and purpose. It cannot not be for the both of them. So although it's not a conscious choice, at the same time, she is building it because she knows that together they share this same vision and same purpose. Now, what that looks like in the future, whether they join together and join forces like Liz and George have done, or whether she just lifts and inspires him through what she has created to reach his own individual mission, purpose, whatever that looks like. Maybe your purpose with your twin doesn't look the same as me and my twin, or like Liz and George's, where you're working towards this same vision and the same goals, or you complement each other in some way in that area. Either way, the divine feminine is still building her queendom for that purpose, for abundance, for joy, and to follow her mission and purpose here on this earth. And then number 6 is a big one. The divine feminine is processing, healing, and uplifting the divine masculine. And again, it's not a conscious choice. It's not like I wake up in the morning and say, oh yeah, I can feel my divine masculine's in a bad mood today, I better do some conscious uplifting. I mean, sometimes I definitely do feel like that. Probably not first thing in the morning. I'm too annoyed that my twin's having a great sleep. But yeah, I mean, there are times when I can feel energetically he is having a really bad day and I'm just in tears, right? There's nothing I can do about it. It's not a conscious choice. But usually it's the energetic connection. And so this can be quite heavy for the divine feminine. Remember, she leads the connection in the spiritual and energetic realm. And so she is always responsible to lift the connection. Remember, she is the light. She is constantly drawing the masculine into his highest version of himself, into the best version of himself that he can be. And to her, in the physical, he already is that. He is perfect just as he is. She doesn't need him to be anything different. But at the same time, while he's going through his own processing, through his own healing, through his own journey, she can feel every part of it. And again, it's not something you can close off to. I talked about how I did a cord cutting ceremony, or tried to, back earlier. I think it was last year. And that failed completely, obviously, as some of you might say. And because it was overwhelming, like continuously feeling someone else's emotions and knowing that that's where it comes from is a lot. And especially when you know the divine masculine is really struggling through his everyday. He's wearing a mask. He's not being his true self. He's not speaking his truth. He's not living his life fully on purpose. That actually can be quite hard on the divine feminine subconsciously to continuously be processing, healing, and uplifting. And again, it's not anything that she chooses. She has already chosen that. Her soul already made that choice before she came to this earth. So it's not like, you know, like I said, that we sit there every day and go, oh, I need to uplift my divine masculine today. The divine masculine needs no help in the 3D. He's perfectly capable, and the divine feminine knows that, of, you know, making his own choices and making the decisions that are right for him. And eventually he always does. And this is why the divine feminine trusts him so much, because he always does. And he trusts her because he knows that actually energetically and spiritually, for the first time, he's completely protected. He is completely covered. So it's really built this trust in the spiritual and energetic realm that filters down then into the 3D. So she's creating this trust in the 5D, which then filters down into the 3D, which he then filters back to her in the 3D, and it goes back up into the 5D. So it goes round again, like this beautiful energetic cycle. And so, but it can be a lot. I mean, you're processing somebody else's energy. You're lifting it up into the light. And again, the divine feminine is, or tends to be, the light, and the divine masculine tends to be the heavier rooted energy in the 3D. She is up high, the light, white, bright energy of the higher realms, but they balance. There is not one more valuable than the other. They balance together. That's why they work so well. So it's not that one is more necessary, or one is more beautiful, or one is better than the other. They are both needed. They are both on the same spectrum anyway. But she is the one who has to heal and protect the connection in the 5D. And so that can be quite energetically. She's doing that through her body, through her mind, through her consciousness, through her subconsciousness, through her chakra system. And that in itself can be quite draining. And so again, you don't want to be going out talking about people's nights out or people in the community. I mean, the divine feminine is not about that anyway, but you don't even want to be hearing that. It's like an assault on your senses when you're there going, do you mind? I'm trying to have conversations with angels here about how to lift my own energy, because I know that that helps the energy and vibration of the world. They're literally worlds apart. So again, that's another reason that she hermits. And then the 7th reason, the one that kind of got me the most when I realized, is that what the divine feminine is actually doing is protecting herself and the connection from other masculines, from other influence, because what that would do energetically is completely mess up the connection. And now I'm not talking about your average friend who's going to help you move your fridge or, come around and check everything's good with your plumbing. Plumbing? That's probably such a poor choice of words, but your electrics or whatever it is. So I'm not talking about the average masculine who comes around and helps there, but I'm talking about the ones who are literally preying on what they see as the divine feminine. So remember, divine feminine, very free, very spiritual, very rooted. And to be honest, it makes her a target for lower entities. They want that energy for themselves, but at the same time, they are not yet in their divinity. So it becomes an energetic drain on the divine feminine. This is where you get these energy vampires showing up. They are simply not yet aligned to that frequency. They are not in their divinity. They are definitely not the divine feminine's divine masculine. Okay, remember the two of them met for a reason and a purpose. You only get one. Okay, and I'll talk about that in another video. But essentially, what she is doing is, and this won't last forever, by the way, just to give you some light at the end of the tunnel. If you're hermiting right now, the hermit stage does not last forever. And I'll talk about 2 reasons why that won't last, maybe in another video. But essentially, what happens is she is literally becoming the fairy tale. She literally becomes Rapunzel in the tower and her mother. They are both archetypes of the feminine. Remember, the mother is actually nurturing. We are told the Disney version, which is the mother is controlling and a witch, but actually if you think about it, we are the divine mother. We are nurturing ourselves. We are not waiting to be saved. Again, that's the Disney version. We are actually nurturing ourselves and our gifts safe inside the castle. And for me to realize that, again, it's not a subconscious choice. It's not like you're going, I don't want anyone else, although I know a lot of divine feminines do. You are really protecting the connection. And again, it's not a conscious choice, but it's what your soul signed up to do when you became the divine feminine and were given the gift or decision of leading the connection spiritually and energetically. And this is why so many divine feminines find it very, very difficult to move on, of course, because that's not what you signed up to do, essentially. But I'll talk about that in another recording. That's the 7 reasons why the divine feminine hermits. And I just want to leave you with this one quote before we go, if I can find it. Let me see. So this quote is from Justice Bellucci, which I think is, BELLUCCI, over on Instagram. And what he said is, it says, when we begin arriving in the higher realms and in a higher vibration, our energies are no longer in alignment with the old outside 3D world. Through a severe intolerance to the old, we are being pushed to move forward and to create the new. And any of you who have been following me for any period of time knows that that's exactly what I believe we are here for as twin flames. In addition, you may feel like staying home or just being alone, as much of everything out there no longer matches the higher vibration of you. This is simply a very common experience of evolution. We are moving forward before the outside manifestations are. Being in the old can feel downright awful. It is similar to having to go back after you have had a near-death experience. As the ascension process continues, going back to the lower dimensions will not feel good, nor will it be possible for long, as it is difficult to drop our vibration down in order to reside there. And so this is the number one reason why I see divine feminines essentially hermiting, is because, again, being the princess in the tower, she knows that everything of a lower frequency will disturb her energy. She cannot be around that anymore. It makes her feel physically unwell. And while she's got all of these other things going on, she cannot afford to have that energy compromised. So she is really becoming the guardian of her own energy. And this old energy, once that she was wasting or frittering away on things that blocked her from living her purpose. So the partying, the continuous going out, filling every single Saturday night with friends or, drink or whatever she was doing, was essentially blocking her from living her life here on earth in mission, on purpose. And she knows now that that's what she's been activated for. And when she re-enters the world, it will look very differently when she comes out of hermit mode. But right now, she knows that she is here to lift the earth into this beautiful vibrational frequency and really break the patterns of the matrix and be able to share this gorgeous gift of divine love and this purpose that she is here for with the rest of the world, and help to lift up that frequency. And of course, she can't do that if she continually stays down there in the 3D, in these lower vibrational energies. And the same with the divine masculine. He takes longer to become aware of that. He takes longer to step into his purpose. He kind of tiptoes in and steps back, and tiptoes in and steps back. But essentially, he knows, he feels the exact same way as the divine feminine does in terms of energy. He has to, again, he is much better at wearing the mask, at blocking it out, but it's always there with him. His soul knows. And so I want you to understand that, divine feminine. Please don't think, I know a lot of divine feminines think their masculine is so unaware, but he's really, really not. And I've had lots of conversations around this with people, and they're like, he doesn't even have a clue. And I'm like, no, he really does. He probably has more of a clue than I do. I think my masculine was more spiritually in touch with his gifts than I was when we first met. And it was through his own energy that I actually started tapping much more deeply into mine. Your masculine really is aware. But that's what I wanted to share with you today about the 7 reasons the divine feminine hermits. I would love it if you could leave a comment, like, share, subscribe below. It really means so much to me. And you take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.